Shalom, shalom. This is the Children's Bread NGO, and we're coming forth today with a interview. I have a special guest today, and his name is Dr. David Israel, and I'm gonna introduce him in just a second. But I want to let the viewers know that with the NGO, with the Children's Bread NGO, our whole mission is to, unify the Hebrew Israelites the best way that we can, unify the Hebrew Israelites in these days and times so the future generations can have something to look forward to within the Hebrew Israelite community. So this is important. And we believe that the work of fighting against poverty is one of the biggest works to do, alongside with uniting the children of Israel. So this is what the NGO stand for, and this is what we do at our core. We fight against poverty on a global scale, starting here first in Africa, because we know Africa is the poorest continent, and that is by design, but it's the richest continent in natural resources. All right. So the mission starts here, and then we can go everywhere else around the world. So now, with that being said, we have a special guest tonight, and we're going to be talking about the Hebrew language and how it's important for Hebrew Israelites in today's time, all right, to understand Hebrew fluently and really go into Hebrew and really use that language to start using that language to unite us as a nation. Because how can we be called a nation of people if we don't have a language that we all agree upon? All right. So this is the importance that we're going to be talking about when it comes to the Hebrew language. We're going to be going into uniting the Hebrew Israelites through the language. All right. So now I have this guest. His name is Dr. David Israel, and I'm gonna read what he's about. I'm gonna read his credentials. All right. So he's Dr. David Israel. He's been in Israel for what, over 40 years. He's a founder and dean of the Israel Institute of Language Study. All right. And Dr. David Israel is an alumni of the 1983 graduating class of the School of the Prophets Institute of Higher Learning at Jerusalem. He has degrees in New World Chronicles or New World History, Education, Philosophy, and has a PhD in Hermeneutic Philosophy. Dr. Israel became an understudy and steward to the Headmaster and Dean of the SOTP, Prince Dr. Shaleak Ben Yehudah in 1979. In 1982, Dr. Israel became a member of the prestigious elite order of the spiritual investigators. All right. And in 2003, he received his PhD in Hermeneutic Philosophy and is highly recognized in the field of English and Hebrew language learning. After working with the Ministry of Education of Israel and various institutions of higher learning, Ono Academic College, the Israel College of Business Management, the Mandel College of Leadership, Manchester University Israel Extension, the Israel College, the London College, Dr. Israel saw the dire need for a new approach to language teaching and developed the F.O.C.U.S, the F.O.C.U.S, foundational organization of the constructs of universal study. Approach to study. The Israel Institute of Language Study was established in 2006 in Herzliya, Israel. In 2007, it was and then it got relocated in Dimona, Israel. All right. In 2007, it got relocated in Dimona. So the purpose and mission of the IILS is to provide the skills and understanding for proper language acquisition based on the pure language idea and the focused approach to learning acquisition. All right. Excuse my mispronouncing certain things, but this brother has a lengthy credentials in the Hebrew language, all right, and been teaching in Israel for over 30 years, okay? And if you have anything that you want to add, to your introduction, Dr. David Israel, you can do so. The floor is yours right now.
Well, first of all, naturally giving all honor and praises to the creator of the heavens and earth. In Hebrew, his name is Yahweh. That's a name that's used over 800 times throughout Old Testament and even the New Testament. I'd like to give honor to the brothers and sisters who have dedicated their lives to the establishing and the expansion of what biblically is we call the kingdom of Yah, Daniel 2:44. If you say anything good about myself, I have to give that honor and glory to, again, Yah, the brothers and sisters who helped in my educational process. They get the glory to that. I'll take responsibility and credit for all the mistakes I've made, but anything good that you say that you may hear about me, that goes to the kingdom, to Yah's kingdom, because remember, he's the Father, he's the initiator. I mean, it's through him we're here today. So, and I appreciate you and the work that you're doing. It's definitely inspiring. And we are living in the times that those with brilliant ideas, it's time to plant those ideas now. And believe me, this is the time that we are living in the season of the return of the glory of Africa. We're living in the season of the return of the glory to Africa. So wish you and pray you in my prayers and everything. Really appreciate you.
No problem. I appreciate you for letting me conduct this interview with you. So you are professional Hebrew language teacher. All right. So with that being said, you have over 40 years of experience in using this language, not only just, understanding this language, but using this language, being immersed in this language and speaking this language throughout Israel, to, the Israelis, to different, other ethnic groups that's within Israel. Because a lot of people don't know, it's many ethnic groups within Israel. A lot of people don't even understand that, but, you've been, using this language, in the thick of Jerusalem, of different parts, of Israel, to actually, converse and conduct business and conduct the daily life, out there. So I think that's outstanding. Now this let's I'm gonna go into these questions. And like I said, this is open conversation, man. I'm gonna say something that I have on my mind about things. I'm just a young brother trying to do the work and trying to learn at the same time. So let me ask you this. Why is it important for every Hebrew Israelite to learn Hebrew and to speak it fluently? Because I know some Hebrew Israelites, they're like, I'll worry about the language later. I was one of those. I wasn't really too big on the language, but as I see, what's going on with our people in the state that we in, and us, getting back to our nation practically, we need to have a language to agree upon and to deal with. So let me ask you this: why is it important for every Hebrew Israelite to learn Hebrew and to speak it fluently?
Well, first, Brother Palal, let's we were told that roots are important. Roots are important, right? And we were always given that analogy of thinking about a tree without roots, right? So we look around the world today and everyone's in confusion. And you have those that are looking for answers. Now, with everything that our people have went through, 400 years plus of slavery, when we look at the African continent today, you know, we're not invited to the international peace conferences in Davos in Switzerland. And we have to come to the conclusion that when we're not invited to the peace conferences, then that means that we're on the menu. And we've been on the menu for a long time. Now, you ask about why Hebrew. Well, if I say the nationality Chinese, what land comes to your mind?
You know, China.
Where the Chinese from? Say that again.
China gonna come to my mind, you know, China.
And German?
It's gonna be, yeah, Germany.
And French?
France. Mm-hmm.
Russian?
Mm-hmm. Russia.
Black.
That's, you know, that's a lot, you know.
You understand? So
Yeah.
again, you're asking the question, why Hebrew to the Hebrew Israelites? We're Hebrew Israelites. So we talked a little about our plight in America 400 years, but can you show a clip, please? And let's get a little reminder as to what we've been through as a people for over 400 years.
Miss Reynolds?
Yes?
Oh, pardon me, ma'am, but could I see Master Reynolds, please?
Oh, Fiddler, I believe he's studying the scriptures now.
Oh, the man's a Christian saint, he is, but it's powerful important.
Very well, Fiddler. You wait here.
Yes, ma'am.
James, put some oil on it. It's a bit dry.
Very well, Fiddler. He'll see you now.
Thank you, Miss Reynolds.
Fiddler, don't overstay your welcome.
Oh, no, Miss Reynolds, we'll never do that.
Take him up. Tie him off.
Fiddler, he's a runaway. Now, you understand that I cannot countenance that sort of behavior. Do you understand the word countenance?
Yes.
But you told me he was mine, Master. You said when we was bringing him back from
Yes,
auction.
yours to turn into a proper field hand, and since he ran away, you didn't do a very good job. Isn't that a fair deduction? you understand the word deduction?
Yes, sir, master. I understand.
Mind your tone, Fiddler. Mind your tone. Mind it well. I anticipate some adjustments will be forthcoming toward you as a result of all this.
Yes, sir. I just hate to see a prime field hand like that boy all ruined.
I want every buck I wants to the barn.
It's just that you paid good money for that African Guinea man, and you shouldn't.
You're going to see how a bad nigger gets turned good.
You got an investment. Lord God.
Are you quite finished, Fiddler?
Yes, sir, master. Old Fiddler's finished right enough.
That is correct. Mr. Ames is now in charge of the African. You failed me, Fiddler. And what we'll do about that, we'll discuss at a later time.
Yes.
James, your name is Toby. I want to hear you say it. Your name is Toby. You're going to learn to say your name. Let me hear you say it. What's your name?
Kunta Kinte.
When the master gives you something, you take it. He gave you a name. It's a nice name. It's Toby. And it's going to be yours till the day you die. Now, I know you understand me, and I want to hear it. Again! I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
Lord God, help that boy. They're gonna whip him dead.
What's your name? Say it. Toby. Who are you? Say your name. What's your name?
Toby.
Hi. Say it again. Say it louder so they all can hear you. What's your name?
Toby. My name is Toby.
Hi. That's a good nigger. Cut him down.
Toda, brother Palang. So when I ask you, the question is, what land comes into your mind when we say Israelite? What land comes into your mind?
Oh, Israel. Israel comes to my mind when I hear, Israelite.
So each one of those examples reflects a land, a culture, and a language.
Exactly.
With that said, We don't know if this particular depiction is historical or not, but we do know the story of our people when we landed on the shores of what's called America today.
Mm-hmm.
We lost our land, we lost our language, and we lost our culture.
Mm-hmm.
In that, we have to remember that when we have to fill out those forms where you give your personal details, and some of those forms have the question mother language. It is time for our brothers and sisters to understand that English is not our mother language. English may be our birth language, but it's not our mother language.
Gotcha.
That scene depicted a transformation of a soul. And when we look now, 400 years plus, we have to be bold enough to ask ourselves, who are we? What is an Afro-American? And this is not to belittle or diminish any of the great works that our brothers and sisters have done in that land. But we have to begin to talk about what's called first principles. We were not native of, the Israelites, we came from Israel. We have an Israelite culture, and we have a language. And so, in asking your question, fundamentally so.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a Russian who would write on that form that his mother tongue
Mm-hmm.
is English. No, but you're Russian.
Yeah.
But its mother tongue is Russian.
Gotcha. Understand. So basically, it's important for the Hebrew Israelites to understand Hebrew and speak it, to get back to their original mother tongue, getting back to their original culture that was stripped from us. And that comes with not only, looking apart, wearing, Hebrew Israelite clothes, garments and stuff, but also speaking the language. That's another part of us, getting back our heritage, got you. That was an interesting clip. All right, so now, and I remember that movie, classic one, Alex Haley.
Yeah, that was classic. I'm a dinosaur. I know that they've made a new version of it.
Yeah.
I never saw it, but that's the classic one. That's the classic one.
I ain't watched the new one either. I grew up on the classic one, and then the next generation, Rooster, the next the classic ones though on the V,
Right.
The classic one.
Right.
All right. Let me ask you this. Can you explain to the viewers out there, explain to them, because when it comes to the NGO, when it comes to the children's bread, our motto is Zephaniah 3, 2 and 1, which is gathering together as a nation, gathering together, Zephaniah 2 and 1, to gather yourselves together. That's our motto, Zephaniah 2 and 1. But also in Zephaniah speaks about a pure language, a pure language. So while we gathering, we will also be, understanding this language. So I want you to explain to the viewers, can you explain to them what's the understanding of Zephaniah 3 and 9? Okay, when it say, for then I will turn to the people a pure language. Can you explain with the information, the credentials that can you elaborate to them on this verse 3 and 9?
So again, we have to go back to first principles. When we engage in conversations like this, unless we agree upon first principles, then it will no doubt end up in a debate and we don't debate. I'm going to say personally, so I don't debate. You know, our knowledge base is what's called Bible today, Torah, Tanakh, New Testament, Old Testament. First principle is we believe that those writings were given not to the world, but to a particular people. The narrative of the Tanakh, Torah, Bible begins with the chronology of a new beginning. A new beginning. Now, English has taught us that it says in the beginning. But when you get into Hebrew, it plainly says a new beginning. There are those here in Israel that when they wake up in the morning, they say, now let me give you just a little Hebrew, okay?
Okay.
In a beginning is translated into Hebrew as Berashit. 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 Okay? Now, it comes from the word, the word creation comes from it. The word creation comes from that word, Berashit. The word creation comes from that word, okay? And they have those here that will tell you in the morning, you won't hear them say, good morning. They will say, good new creation day. Because the narrative says that there was chaos and confusion upon the earth, right?
Yeah.
And darkness covered the earth, right? Now, this is maybe a subject for another time. Where did that darkness come from? But darkness, from a Hebrew perspective, is choshek. And we know that light is or. So when you have light, then the darkness naturally subsides, right? Right? Now, this is the thing about it. In Hebrew, the word for light is or. The letters aleph, vav, resh. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible for the audience, because I know that we have many probably that are not familiar with Hebrew.
Yeah.
But it's or, right? But when you go and you investigate the etymology, the origins, and the history of the word, it refers more so to the word organization. You hear the word or in organization? Now, if we take this first principle, and we know that Yah, the creator, is not the author of confusion. So where did this darkness come from, and this chaos and confusion on the creation that he had put together? Well, the narrative continues, and it said on the sixth day, he created you. He created Adam. He created Adam. 5th chapter, it talks about male and female. He created them and called their name Adam. So Adam was a hood word. It was what you call grammatically so a singular collective. Just like we say family, it's a word grammatically so it's a singular collective now. It represents many. Adam represented many. So the narrative goes like this, that he created you, and you were given a soul. And we'd have to define soul from a Hebraic perspective because it simply means the internal organs. It simply means the internal organs. If you open up the hood of a car, then you see the motor, you see the you know the workings in the car under that hood, right? That Hebraically so is called the soul. All right. So he was given a soul, but then after he was given a soul, then Adam was sent through an educational process called breath of life. And when he received that matriculated through that educational process, then on his graduation certificate, it wasn't just the word soul, he became a living soul then. Mm. Once you go through that educational process, then biblically so, you become living. This is important. Talking about first principles, okay? So he became a living soul, talking about first principles, and we're talking about this narrative. Mm-hmm. But Adam made, after he became a living soul, then he was given work. He was put in an environment and he was given work. After he was given work, then he was given a woman. Some of the brothers got it backwards, you know, they look for the woman and then look for work and everything, but biblically, so the woman comes after you're in your work, and we'd have to go into what work is and everything, but that's another. The narrative goes like this. Adam made a mistake. Adam was taught. He went through the educational process, but now there's the mistranslation of the name of the female. They use the word Eve. But if you look at the etymology, the origins and history of the word, that's Greek. Hebrew, it's written Chava. So Adam was given work. And then in the Genesis, the first chapter, in the 26th verse, it's given Adam's purpose for being given a soul and then going through a process called the breath of life that turned him into a living soul. Then he was given a purpose as to why. So in the book of Genesis, the first chapter and the 26th verse, you wouldn't happen to have scriptures with you, do you? Can you read that very quickly? Because if anyone asks you, then why was Adam created? Why if he's all powerful, why did Yah need Adam? And while you're looking for that, I'd like to remind the brothers and sisters, and this is information that they know already. I just want to remind that there's an expression. It says that man can do nothing without Yah, and Yah will not do anything without man. And you can take that back to Amos when it says that Yah shall do nothing but reveal his purpose, his revelations to his servants. And even when we say the word servant, we have to remember we're not talking about like when we think of servants, naturally because of the ramifications of slavery and everything, that's not a good word that we like to use. But serving is simply knowing your purpose, developing your purpose, and sharing your purpose to the ultimate purpose, which is in Genesis first chapter and the 26th verse.
All right, so what did you want me to go to in Genesis?
Genesis 1 and 26.
1 and 26. All right. All right, so here go Genesis 1 and 26. All right, so we got Genesis 1 and 26, and it reads, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Let them have what?
Dominion.
Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we say certain words because of the ramifications of our plight as slaves, I think that it touches a very, very, very raw nerve in us. It causes us to become be uncomfortable with certain words. Dominion, servant. But when you look at the Hebrew word for dominion, it simply means stewardship, management. Management, stewardship. That was the purpose of Adam. Why? Because everything was disorganized. Darkness covered it. It was disorganized. So y'all needed you, Brother Palel, your viewing audience. He needed you so that he can put himself in your bodies to bring organization back to the planet. So this narrative goes on. Again, we get to the third chapter. Well, first chapter, second chapter, everything was good. It was qualified that good, right? So we get to the third chapter, then something happened. Now remember, Adam received the educational process. He was given the responsibility of stewardship. That was in Adam's hand. Chava wasn't there. Be with me now. Be with me right now. Chava wasn't there. So when sometimes my students ask me this question, if this y'all that you talk about is so great, so awesome, and he is, then why didn't he stop that overweight woman from eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? And this gets certain people. But we have to remember that Adam was given legal authority over the planet. If you have a house and you have the deed to that house, that's your house. You have authority in that house. That legal authority was given to Adam. So anything that happens on this planet was because of Adam, whether it was good or bad, not y'all, Adam, because Adam was given free choice. Now, be with me now. Some of the brothers think, and sometimes we might say, it's that woman, because that was Adam's first response. It's that woman you gave me. But if we analyze that particular event, nothing is written that Adam saying, hey, listen, Chava, again, that's her name in Hebrew. It's written in scripture. Chava, I don't think we need to do this. Nothing is written in that narrative saying that Adam went back and tried to convince Chava not to do it. On the contrary, Adam went, she gave him that information, and it said he took it. There's no type of struggle, no argument. So Adam was responsible. He was silent. And just with that, Brother Palel, remember when it says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
Well, believe it or not, in Hebrew, the word is not destroyed. In Hebrew, the word is he resh samech, laharos, heres. Okay? That's not the word. In Hebrew, the word is silent,
Mm-hmm.
or to have been made silent. That's the word. The word is nidmu, demama, nidmu. Now, if you put that in context with the first principles, Adam was taught, he didn't say anything, and because of that, destruction came.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, because I wanted to get I want the viewers to understand the Zephaniah 3 and 9. The
Absolutely.
pure language, the pure language.
Absolutely.
So, because I
So,
want to, yeah, if you
right.
can kind of get into it,
Right.
like
So that's why I'm saying that again. I wanted to go over those first principles. If we can agree upon those first principles, then we can continue on. Now, I want the audience to imagine a race. You've heard this before. Imagine a race, and you have the runners line up, right? So Adam is on the line, and he's the only one running this race at this point. The objective is to get to the finish line, right? It's to get to the finish line. And biblically, so it says that the awards are eyes haven't seen and ears haven't heard what's in store for the blessings. So Adam's on the beginning line, and then the judge says, "On your mark, get set," shoots the gun, and he says, "Go." Listen carefully. Instead of running forward towards the beginning line, Adam has been running backwards for 6,000 years, going on 7,000 years now. In language, we've been going backwards for 7,000 years. And this whole experience from the 3rd chapter of Adam has been in a dynamic of dissension. So the pure language was in the beginning, in Genesis 1 and 2. There was pure language there. It was clear. The knowledge was there. Our objective is there. So language should be connected to that whole idea of getting back to Genesis, where we were given an educational process called the breath of life. And then we were given the work that we have to do, which is to have dominion or stewardship, management over the planet. And today, language reflects the total opposite. If you ask a person, what's the difference between job and work? Many think that they're synonymous, but they are not synonymous. Work is what you were born with. In the book of Jeremiah, the 1st chapter, Yah said that he knew Jeremiah. In the book of Psalms, it says that he knew David before they were put in their mother's womb. There were a couple of the prophets that the same thing is written. So, Brother Palel, what you're doing your work. A job is where you go and you sit there for 8-9 hours waiting to check out. You do as less as possible. You're waiting to get out of there. That's the job. And you've heard this before. Once all those hours you put into that job, then they created what's called happy hours at the bar. So what were those other hours and everything? This is language. I'm talking about language now. So the objective of Hebrew is, and I want to make this clear also. This is not to offend anyone, okay? I'm just talking what's in scripture and everything right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hebrew, we've been taught that Abraham was the first Hebrew. But when we do a little investigation, we find out that well, let's understand what Hebrew is. Hebrew written is based on 3 root letters, ayin, beit, resh, which means to pass from one place to the other. When we take just the mundane perspective, from one place to the other, in ancient of times, and remember, everyone was, they would move from one place to the other according to the seasons. That was the culture back then in what's called the Middle East today. And that's another term that we have to return or get back to the pure idea of it. So Hebrew was one from, in the original pure language, is one from that moves from one level of consciousness to a higher level of consciousness. From one level of consciousness to a higher level of consciousness. Okay. Now, that individual or that person or personhood, Adam, was Adam when he was a soul, and then he was transformed to a living soul. So actually, Adam was the first one that consciously made the transition from one level to a higher level. And let's be clear about levels and everything. Mm-hmm. So in Hebrew, there's no idea of how old you are. There are only 2 languages, actually. Either you're in a language of ascension or a language of descension. Remember that race scenario. We've been running backwards in our consciousness. Even though we call this the modern age, that frightens me. When you really understand the modern age, there has never been on the planet so much death, disease, sickness than the modern age. So again, the ideas get back to the pure language. So there's no idea of how old you are. That's why we say, how young are you? Yeah. Our forefathers lived to be 900, 800, 700, 500. And this is no fairy tale. This is our history. You know, so when we say we don't fall in love, we rise in love. That's Hebrew language. So this is the Hebrew that we're talking about. Okay. Are you okay? Did I
got you. So let me, try to simplify, for the viewers out there. So to that pure language that Zephaniah 3:3-9 is speaking about is the language before the fall of man, before corruption. Absolutely. Corruption.
First principles.
Yeah. So the Most High want us to get back to the first principles, back to that Genesis 1, that Genesis 2, before the fall of man. Get back to that pure language. Get back to that, not just the language, but that pure, ideology, that pure understanding that comes with the language. So absolutely. I got you. Now I'm with you.
Even the word fall. Mm-hmm. Even the word fall, it wasn't, well, let me say it like this. Mm-hmm. The action that took place was more so a declaration of independence from our source, mm-hmm. which is Yah, which is that pure language. So, but that's another time.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, man. We're gonna have to come back next week, and we may do like 3-4 parts of this because I got more questions. It's a list of questions. So, and I want the people to understand this information. How important it is to unite. We're gonna be uniting through the Hebrew language. This is one step for us learning the language as a nation, that's one step closer to us becoming a nation, being recognized as a nation, having a language that we can all agree upon and we can all talk, talk that language. That's, we say we Hebrew Israelites, so let's talk it too. Let's talk it. Let's be multilingual, But Dr. David, blessing to have you on here. Next week we're gonna come back. Next week, we can come back the same time next week. If it's okay with you, same time next week. We may have 3-4 more parts of this. And then we can just be something we probably can keep on going, keep on going in a segment like this about uniting with the Hebrew language, and how it's important for Hebrew Israelites to unite with the Hebrew language. And if any brothers and sisters want to learn Hebrew or interested in learning Hebrew, you can reach out to Dr. David Israel. I will put information within the description box on the YouTube. You can check information out, or just reach out to the Children's Bread and we will connect you with Dr. David if you're interested in learning Hebrew. He does do Hebrew classes. He does do online Hebrew classes. So we're trying to promote learning Hebrew within the Hebrew communities. All right.
After the fifth lesson, they'll be able to read every word in scripture that's written in Hebrew with the vowel symbols. After the fifth lesson.
Okay. That's the type of teacher he is, y'all. So now let's all praise. So let's get into this Hebrew. We're gonna get into it, and next week we will come back on this segment of uniting through the Hebrew language. Hebrew Israelites uniting through the language. All right. We'll see y'all next week. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.